Here we are with Site 101 and how sites operate and how they work and what are the differences between them. Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here with some basic to very fancy, bougie, expensive sites. There are a couple different types of sites in the world. Fixed pin and movable pin are the basic differences between sites in general. Fixed pin means you have multiple pins that are at given distances that you do not adjust on the fly. So this is an example of a fixed pin site. This is a black gold rush. Has 1, 2, 3, 4 pins in it. You adjust those for say 20, 30, 40, 50, which is what most people would do. They almost always start at 20 yards on a site, in case you didn't know that. And you adjust your windage and elevation on the whole site head to get to where that's at 20 yards and then set the gap for speed in between each individual pin. This is what everybody used for a very, very long time, since like the 80s, 70s, so to speak. Pins were in. They were the whole deal. A site came out in the late 90s called a Site Master. I want to say late 90s, maybe it was early 90s. Oh, God, I love coffee. That basically moved up and down for distance. So I'm going to similar it to this. This is your HHA, what do they call this new site here? The Nitrix Pro. It spins up and down, moves up and down, right? And how this works is there's a piece of paper on here that has your yardages indicated on it, and you move it to that specific distance for shooting. So allowing you to be a little more precise on what your pin setting is, i.e. if you want to shoot something at 28 yards, you can set it at 28 yards and hold the pin on exactly what you want to hit. When you're using this on 28 yards, you have to kind of gap in between there about where you think 28 yards would be and hold it on there and then squeeze it off and shoot. So it's not quite as precise. The beauty of this is it's kind of no-brainer. You don't move it after you set everything in. You don't have to move it between each arrow. You don't have to adjust each individual shot. It's just plain Jane basic. It's kind of like the reticles in a rifle scope if you're in the rifle world. This is a more precision piece of equipment, and it also has multiple levels of adjustment. So getting this thing set precision and precise. If you want to shoot a long ways away, this is probably what you want to have, just being honest. But you decide what's best for you. Now, we also have multi-pin movable sights. Common in a 3-pin or a 5-pin, and basically it gives you this same sight. You're all reliable. I don't have to think about it. Just put your gaps up and shoot it at where you want and how you want when this is at its beginning setting. But if you want to shoot farther away, you can dial the destiny to whatever distance you want it to shoot it. So, and that has an indicators right here that tell you how far away it is past like the 60-yard pin. Now, what would be traditional on a site like this is to sight in all your yardages and then use your bottom pin as your movable pin. Why do you want to use your bottom pin as your movable pin? Because it increases your maximum distance capability. The closer you get to the bottom of the sight housing in a movable sight, the farther you'll be able to shoot. If you try to use that 20-yard pin as your movable pin, there's a distance between that 20 and the bottom of your housing before you run into your arrow. Now, I know this sounds excessive and crazy, but if you're trying to shoot as far as possible, you tack fellas out there that want to drop bombs, you're going to actually need that range. Now, if you actually shoot a really heavy arrow, another common problem, you're going to have about half the distance of range to shoot as far as you optimally could. A lot of people will shoot something like this, put a 600, 650 grain arrow through it and run into like 80, 90 yards and they can't shoot any farther. The multiple pin settings on there kind of become moot at that point. So this is really only relevant to a Western style hunting rig. And what I mean by that is a 400 to 450 grain arrow, boys and girls, not a 600, 700 A grain arrow. It's hard to shoot distance with that. That heavy stuff is intended for close distances. Should probably never really be shot past 40 yards because of ballistics, okay? So just throwing that out there. Now, why would you use one over the other? It just depends on the type of hunting you're kind of doing and the simplicity of what you want. This is very simple. This is very basic, and it gets the job done. If you're shooting things out of tree stands at 25 yards, I totally get a basic sight. However, I really prefer to have like a 1-pin movable in that scenario because the 1 pin's in the middle of the housing. What does that mean? For your brain, it's easier to aim. When your reference of aim is in the middle of the housing and you're lining up a circle on a dot, it's a lot easier to get those things square and equal. And if you don't line those things up square and equal, it changes your impact point. So that's really, 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 really important. Now, On a sight like one of these, you would have either pre-ballistic built laser etched sight tapes like would come with a driver, or that you would order the appropriate one for you, or like a sight like an HHA comes with this giant kit of sight tapes and preliminary markers. You stick this on your rail where 20 yards is, you move your sight up and down till you hit, I think it's 60, might be 50, let me look real quick, doesn't say. It's either 50 or 60, they'll say in the directions of which one it is, and once you move it down to that indicator of dial, you find the 17, and then that's the appropriate sight tape that you put on in its place for yardage. Now, there's also a lot of computer programs for these things. I really strongly recommend Precision Cuts computer program. There's a lot of information in there that's very, very well done, and you can sight that one of these in with just a couple of arrows through a Doppler radar or a Garmin downrange. Just have something in front of your Garmin so you don't accidentally hit it and cause damage to it. But if you get two different ballistic speeds at 20 yards and 60 yards or somewhere around those natures, you can create a sight tape, and then you don't need any of these, and then you can get a little more customizable with it. So on this instance, for adjusting your up and down and left and right, there's a couple of precise things you can use here. One, you can adjust this sight all the way to its top motion, and then move these two screws, loosen these two screws, and it slides up and down in the rail. So you can truly start at a 0 stop 20. And why does that matter? So when you're not looking at your sight, you can move it to the top of its adjustment and it stops. So you don't have to think about where 20 yards is. You can be doing something else, move it to where it stops, you're at 20 yards. Your left or right adjustment here is just in this windage drive here. You loosen that lock screw, move it left to right. Pretty precise. This even has a nice little rheostat, which a lot of them do, for opening it up. Oh, I am open. Hold on. What am I doing here? There we go. Okay. So you can see the fiber optic in here, which is what makes this pin glow. You can slide it back over the top of it, and then it'll dim it down. So if it's really bright, like high noon, it's not burning your eyeball out or creating a star-ish effect, or what do they call that? I don't think that's the right word, but it won't flare out on you to where you can't see very well. So that's a nice little touch in addition to this one. How this adjusts, so in its 0 stop options, there is a piece on here that you can manipulate where the sight stops up and down, because it doesn't have the ability to move this scope head independent of the part that moves here. That's a feature I really like because I want to optimize the amount of range that's available in the sight. But normally with that type of configuration, you're still going to run out of bottom movement into your arrow before the sight would actually bottom all the way out. So you shouldn't really give up anything on that. And then your left to right adjustment's relatively simple here. There's two of them actually. You loosen this screw right here and the dowel slides in and out for left to right. And then there's also a fine micro adjust in here. We'll see if you can see it. This piece right here is a lock. You push that in, and then I'll turn this, and it clicks left to right in here. I don't know if you can see at that angle. Hopefully you can. That gets you moving left and right. So that's, and then on the pins on this one, which is really unique, is you loosen the screw of the base of each pin, whichever one you want to adjust, and twist this knob right here, and they will all move at the same time. So you can move 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever, all at the same time, which is a really cool feature that no one has really done a micro pin adjustment better than Excel. So hats off to Excel. And it does have a little rheostat sliding thing here to try to dim down the fiber brightness. So once again, at those high noons, it doesn't burn a hole through your eyeball. Okay, so for you 101 tinkerers, the basic adjustments for a sight are relatively simple. If you hit left, you move it left. If you hit right, you move it right. If you hit down low, you move it down. If you hit high, you move it up. It is not any more complicated than that, and you really can't hurt your sight by adjusting it. So don't be afraid to do that. But on a basic adjustment sight like this, your left to right's here. You loosen that screw, moves it left to right. All right, pretty simple. And then black gold kind of hides their up and down, but it's down here in this little hole. Loosen that right there, and the whole sight moves up and down. Comment down below on what we didn't cover here, but all these sights, and there's a lot of them out there, right, that are all very similar, can be purchased from your local pro shop. So go down there, talk to them, ask for their input, and buy it from them. Don't buy it from me. I don't want your business. I want you to buy it from the pro shop. They need you, and you need them. You need to have a relationship with them in the long run if you're going to be successful at archery anyway. Only buy it from me if you're going to buy it online. And please, 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 only if you're going to buy it online. Head on over to podiumarcher.com for all those archery needs. $99 and up is free shipping, and coupon code MFJJ will save you a little money. hopefully that helps. Comment down below on what we didn't talk about, or what I missed, or what I said wrong, or how much of a moron I am, or all those things. Those are all great and fun. And we'll have more exciting videos coming from me in the future, including ones that cost me a lot of money that I'm nervous about. So, thanks for watching.